If you say that Darth Vader is a generic, stereotypical villain, that's only true because he is the first of his kind. But every scene of his in the original trilogy is ripe with personality, which just gets better as his character develops. In Cloud City alone in Empire Strikes Back, we get some of the best snapshots of his personality. You can definitely interpret these scenes in vastly different ways. This video is just one of many interpretations, but it's my favorite. Let's start off with the Cloud City dining room scene. The first sighting of Darth Vader in Cloud City is standing up from his seat at the head of a fully set dining table and informing Han and Leia, with pretended cordiality, that they should join him. First, Han tried to shoot him, and when that didn't work, Vader just sat back down. So, the funny part is, Darth Vader cannot eat. It's not like he doesn't eat, but for the most part, he gets what he needs from needles in his suit, and when he actually does eat orally, his menu is a choice between this mush or that mush. So, sitting at a dining table and pretending to be the dinner host is an interesting quirk in his personality that shows he doesn't mind being a little ridiculous as he's menacing people. Coming up next is the torture chamber. We briefly see Han getting squished between two halves of a torture device, and Chewbacca getting tormented by alarms. Actually, come to think of it, that is the smartest way to torture a Wookiee, because I really don't want to get that close. It's not like a official personality quirk here, but Empire Strikes Back is Vader's darkest movie, where he does the most villainous things of his big screen career. So torturing Han, Leia, and Chewie is probably the most stereotypical bad guy activity, but it also shows that he understands that Luke, the reason for the torture, is poised between the light side of the Force and a potential path to the dark side. In inflicting pain and distress on Luke's friends, Vader is luring Luke to Cloud City, where he will have to face his own jealousy and protectiveness, that is, the dark side of the Force. No doubt, Vader is also trying to suppress his memories of his own path to the dark side, and suppress memories of Padme every time he interacts with Luke. Okay, all of the scenes he shares with Boba Fett. As payment for Boba Fett's services in tracking the Millennium Falcon to Bespin, which helped Imperial forces arrive at Cloud City first, Vader promises Boba he can have Han Solo. Of course, he changes the bargain and Solo's state of matter several times, which causes Boba to complain. That's when Vader replies that Solo will not be permanently damaged. Then, he assures the bounty hunter that the Empire will compensate you if he dies. Eventually, after testing the carbon freezing equipment on Solo, Vader upholds his end of the bargain with Boba Fett and gives him the hunk of carbon frozen Han. Earlier in the movie, Vader sternly wags a finger under Boba's nose, forbidding any disintegrations of the Millennium Falcon's crew. You see, Boba once disintegrated one of Vader's targets, who should have been taken alive. It must have been ironic and strangely satisfying for the Sith Lord to finally have Boba on the nail-chewing end of the bargain. Coming up next, finagling Leia and Chewie's prisoner status. Vader feels free to mislead Lando by first asserting that the two must never again leave this city, only to give the order for the two to be loaded onto his ship. When Lando protests, which he does many times in the Cloud City scenes, he is admonished with arguably my favorite Vader line, "I am altering the deal. Pray I do not alter it any further." Vader has Lando over a barrel. That was even before Han gets to Cloud City. Lando will comply with Vader's wishes, or he gets killed. Then, they call it a bargain and shake on it because Lando is not a fool. He agrees that keeping his head is quite a steal. I could say that Vader misled Lando to keep him complacent and therefore stretch out his cooperation for as long as possible, but that just wouldn't be true. Vader is not trying to trick Lando. He just altered the deal as he saw fit because to Vader, the deal was never meant to be fair. It was meant to get Vader what he wanted. Admonishing Lando. To Lando, it was still a deal, And although they made it off screen, we see Lando becoming more concerned and outraged as Vader altered it. First when he tortured the three, then when he froze Han in carbonite and gave him to Boba Fett, and finally when he commands that Leia and Chewie be taken to his ship. There's nothing Lando can do though, because Vader soundly threatens and admonishes him with another of my favorite lines. Perhaps you think you are being treated unfairly? Lando is forced to demur, upon which Vader expresses relief that he does not have to leave a garrison on Cloud City to watch after Lando, too. So there are many ways a villain could have handled the situation, that is, handled the outcry of one of his victims. For example, Jabba the Hutt would have laughed. Dooku may have gently but unsubtly threatened his complete and utter annihilation. Kylo would have just turned around and killed him. Grievous would have popped off with something sarcastic. But Vader actually took the time not to argue, but to clear up something that Lando may have forgotten. He is not making a business deal. He is cooperating with a Sith Lord. Therefore, he ought to stop complaining and count every last one of his lucky stars, because not too many people get to pretend to bargain with a Darth. Carbon freezing Han. The climax of the Cloud City scenes and Empire Strikes Back as a movie is when Vader and his squad of stormtroopers rips Han away from Leia and pushes him into the carbon freezing equipment, even though no one knows if he's going to survive it. As he said earlier in the movie, Vader is testing the speculative technology on Han so he can catch and transport Luke if it all works out. This is definitely Vader's mechanical curiosity gone rogue. He's always been an excellent mechanic, and you tell me that he wasn't just a bit interested in how the carbon freezing chamber worked, especially with a human body in there. And being a Sith Lord really just gives him license to try whatever crosses his mind. Also, while Vader does not know that Leia is his little girl, there are some Reddit threads or YouTube comments that said he must have had some unconscious paternal instinct that Han was indeed trouble. I can believe that. Finally, dueling with Luke, I think it's another climax of this movie. I am your father. That is the most iconic line in Star Wars. Not, may the Force be with you, not, I've got a bad feeling about this, not, somehow Palpatine returned. I am your father. Before I even knew what Star Wars was, I knew that line. I knew the cadence. I knew the drama. Interestingly, it was actually an accident on Vader's part. I mean, the whole ordeal with carbon freezing Han, Vader wanted to carbon freeze Luke, not talk to him. Palpatine was going to talk to him. But once the kid jumped out of the carbon freezing unit, half a second before Vader could flip the switch, he knew he was on to plan B, that is, the art of persuasion. I'm sure Vader privately rehearsed many versions of the big conversation he wanted to have with Luke, but he wasn't expecting to have to do it today. Telling Luke the origin story on their first meeting was a bit gung-ho, but as I've said, Vader was caught unprepared and just blurted it out. That's what happens when you're desperately trying to corral a furious 22-year-old while trying not to get hit with your old lightsaber and picking up the pieces of your now very botched plan. In all, Darth Vader has only about 34 to 36 minutes of screen time throughout the entire original trilogy, proving that you do not need that much screen time to develop a unique character, explore his wounds, and even squeeze in a redemption arc. Or you could make 7 hours worth of prequels to rehash the best 36 minutes of movie history. There are 114 minutes of Star Wars content if you click on this playlist. That number will probably change, but that just means that I'm alive and still making Star Wars content. Alright, bye.